So in 2018, we had a miscarriage in February, we had a miscarriage in April, and we had a third miscarriage in July. It was quite the year. And it was really, really hard. We just kind of had the wind knocked out of us emotionally, spiritually. At the time, we had no friends that were going through the same thing. It was just a very difficult call of like complete dependence on the Lord. Our spiritual lives did take a hit. It took a really long time for me to be able to present myself authentically to the Lord of like, I'm actually really, really hurt.
We had been told many times, like, you'll have kids, there's nothing to worry about, it's fine, don't worry about it, you'll get pregnant. And it kind of just felt like people were saying that because like that's what you're supposed to say to someone who has a miscarriage, you know, which I don't think is all that helpful.
So at the end of the year in 2018, we were exhausted, and we had heard of a grief practice where you could take a trip far, far away and you could leave your grief there. And then when you come back home, it would be with you. We really liked that whole idea of that. And so we flew to Ireland and we said to one another, every single church that we drive by, we are going to go into and we're going to pray in that church, that the Lord would allow us to leave our grief at his feet. And it was really, really beautiful.
I think the intentionality behind what we were doing was important. We're just going to kind of release ourselves from this year in the sense of like, hey, what's happened. We're going to put our trust in you again. And that's it. We're just going to offer it all up.
So the last night I had a dream. I was really sad and I was just sitting there crying and I saw someone else there next to me. I recognized it was a woman and that she was looking at me and she too was crying. And it just clicked for me that it was Mary. And it was really, really beautiful because it stopped my tears. And I just looked at her as she took her turn with her tears streaming down her face. And she said to me that there is solidarity in a broken heart. And I immediately woke up. And it was a huge revelation that I had with Mary in my relationship with her, that there is solidarity in a broken heart, that she too lost a child and she knows of that heartbreak, that very, very particular heartbreak. It really impacted how I see her as someone who's relatable and kind of in the trenches with me.
Through our miscarriages and what we had gone through when we had our daughter, when we had our son, I think it just really reinforced that like our children are a gift that they are not deserved, but they're given to us by God, and they're a blessing. It just makes the bond with our children all that much more special. It's not to say that you need to have a miscarriage to know that children are a gift, but I think if we are to look for a blessing through what has gone throughout our life and the cross we've borne, is that like there's a true understanding of the gift that children are, and we're so thankful for our kids and the gift they are to us.
When all of my kids have been born, I cry, which is probably all the hormones, but it's also I look at Noah and as I'm crying, I like thank God that they're alive. Like I can look at their face, I can see their little nose and their little eyes open and their movements, like they are alive and they're in my hands, and that's something I won't ever take for granted. We have a new little addition to our family, little Miss Clementine. Her like coming into our family has brought such a familial balance in our home.
Experiencing that hardship early in our faith and our marriage and getting through it in some ways, it's still lingering. And even recently we had a miscarriage before our third child, so like it's still very much a part of our story. But I think the major theme that kind of eclipses it all is trust in the Lord, and that if you are to pick up your cross, if you trust in the Lord, he's going to walk with you.
Why do we share our experience? Because it is so lonely to go through loss. It is so lonely to feel alone from the Lord. And so we share about it, we talk about it, because I have lost count years ago of how many women came to me and that have said that me sharing made them feel less alone. And I think that that's been a fruit that has come from our losses, because we were really lonely. And that doesn't mean other people deserve to feel lonely too. And if we can make other people feel less alone, it's not wasting any gifts that the Lord has given us.
The cross that we bear, that it seems like we'll continually bear throughout our marriage and our lives, God's still with us through it all. And there are many blessings that come through that.
There's something deep within us that knows a parent shouldn't have to bury their child. That God did not will death, nor does he delight in the destruction of the living, the book of wisdom tells us. And it's so hard for a parent that hears this child, and sometimes everyone else has moved on or they didn't even know about it, but a parent always remembers. Every child comes into existence as part of God's goodness in creation. That this child that never existed but needed his or her parents' cooperation to come into existence will live forever. And Jesus says in Matthew 19:14, "Let the children come to me. For the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." In a sense, you could think of our innocent children who never had the chance to sin will be the very pure ones who look upon the face of God and will welcome us one day into heaven.
Hey, bud.
Say bye-bye.
Can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.